AAA developers must be shaking in their boots right now because indies and AA's are dominating. These developers are extremely passionate, they're talented, and they're giving players exactly what we have been asking for. And if you take a look at the best-selling paid games on Steam right now, 3 out of the 4 are indie and AA, and it's just proving why the access media and also developers are going after these types of games so hard right now. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we have seen a lot of attacks on smaller games over the past couple of months, and specifically, it has been bad since the Game Awards, since Clair Obscur Expedition 33 dominated and several other smaller titles got recognition like Arc Raiders. It has caused quite a stir. Everybody in the access media is trying to find a way to shill for their big favorite corpse. They are trying their best to put out hit pieces. It's why the AI situation, this controversy, has been brought up again. We even have journalists over at The Gamer saying gaming's recent Gen AI controversies haven't impacted the current Steam top sellers and they are seething over it. And I'm happy to see it because we need a change in this industry, and very quickly. Over the past decade, games have become really stale. Yes, you still have standout experiences, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the games are sanitized, they are safe, and really they are made for modern audiences, people who do not show up to buy video games, a fictitious group, at least in my opinion. And because the video game developers that have dominated for so long have not been delivering high quality experiences, it has left a lot to be desired. And now we see these smaller companies and teams swooping in and making waves, and you love to see it. So yes, we are finding out the best-selling paid games on Steam right now are number 1 Arc Raiders, number 2 Baldur's Gate 3, number 3 Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and number 4 is Battlefield 6. And I do think that Battlefield 6 is actually pretty good, though. The player counts for it have definitely tanked since release. A lot of people are just playing these top 3 titles. Specifically, Arc Raiders has been doing phenomenal, and it's only going to stay that way because they just released the new Expedition season, gives people another reason to come back. They also had released a new map only a couple of weeks after the game's initial launch, so it seems that they are definitely on top of things, whereas something like Battlefield 6, that hasn't really been the case, but the all-time peak for Arc Raiders was 481,966, and the 24-hour peak is 372,000, and in-game right now is 278,000 players, which is really fantastic for them. I think that this game is really good. I do have some issues with it, like body type A and B. I do think a lot of the outfits look really bad, but that doesn't ruin the experience for me. It doesn't kill the fact that the gameplay is so good. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a single player game, just like Baldur's Gate 3, so of course player counts are going to go down, but the all-time peak was 145,063, and the 24-hour peak still 45,000, which is pretty freaking solid. After the Game Awards, it does look like they had a spike to 56,000 players. You've got Baldur's Gate 3. The all-time peak was 2.5 roughly years ago when it went into early access, 875,343 people, but in-game right now is still 62,000, so it is holding its own, and you love to see it. I think competition is good. I think competition is healthy. Without competition, companies grow comfortable, and when they grow comfortable, that is an issue because they feel like they can do whatever they want, that we're just going to show up and shell out money, and we have proven multiple times that that is not the case. And the access media has tried their best to create controversies surrounding these games because you have these developers who have used AI or supported AI in some capacity. I personally think AI is a fine tool, and I think that if you're not going to use it as a tool, you're probably going to be completely out of touch and you're going to be left in the past. Sometimes you have to ultimately make way for new tools in the workplace, but Arc Raiders did use it. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 used it, even though they patched it out like a week roughly after release. And Baldur's Gate 3 isn't necessarily what is facing controversy, but Larian in general. We've even seen some wild accusations released about Larian, but it all seems very intentionally timed. So over the past few days, Larian's statement about AI has caused outrage. Jason Schreier admitted to leaving out context. Ex-Larian dev claimed SA and fascists worked at the company. They admitted to wanting them fired due to conflicting political opinions. Sandfall Interactive's limited use of AI placeholder images that were replaced right after release have been brought back up. The gamer claims Claire Obscure's gaudy sweep is now being called into question over AI usage, and we also had seen the Indie Game Awards take their win away from them, which is wild. But right after the Indies and AA's dominate the Game Awards, surely this isn't coordinated, and it all seems very intentionally timed, and that's why we're seeing tons of pieces from these video game journalists released. I mean, Josh Coulson had written gaming's recent Gen AI controversies have impacted the current Steam top sellers, and really they're non-controversies. Most people do not care about this. We care about a game being good, and yes, if you are not replacing human beings and you are not firing 75% of your workforce, I think that it's fine to use as a tool, but they have tried their best to push this angle, and it says games that use generative AI are selling really well on Steam right now. Yeah, because they're just good games. People want high quality, fun entertainment. We want video games to be escapism. Again, we don't want narratives constantly shoved down our throats. We don't want you to constantly be pushing an agenda. We don't want your personal politics in a game, and none of these titles really do that. I personally think that Baldur's Gate 3 does it the most out of all of these titles. It's just not a game for me. I prefer Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 over this because this title to me feels like modern day Dungeons and Dragons. There's MCU cringe humor. These characters are all misfits and they're weird. It's just not a game for me. That's perfectly fine. There's still obviously millions of people that love it, and I'm happy for that, but we are talking about games that are still high quality. I wouldn't sit here and say Baldur's Gate 3 is low quality trash, because that's definitely not true, but this is the only angle in which they can really attack these games, is coming up with some Gen AI controversy, which I think is hilarious because it just shows how desperate they are, and it makes sense, right? Without the access, these people are no longer the media. They need these large companies to stay in business and to stay afloat so they can continue to get scoops and codes and paychecks from them. And without that, they're going to be left behind, which they're already extremely irrelevant, but they need to hold on to whatever form of access they have while it lasts. It says Arc Raiders includes AI-generated voice work, that it's unclear whether Sandfall's use of AI extended beyond the placeholder, as Sandfall COO previously admitted to using AI during the development of E33. Revisiting that interview, coupled with a renewed hunger by gamers to root out and punish any game that uses generative AI, resulted in Claire Obscure having one of its Game of the Year awards revoked last week, and this is not true. It is journalists that are doing this. It is the media that is pushing this angle. There wouldn't be this divide if it wasn't for you guys going after them constantly in multiple articles over the past couple of days. It is not a renewed hunger by gamers. All you are really doing is stirring the pot. And sure, I do think there are some people out there who don't like AI used at all whatsoever in development, but you guys are the main reason why there is so much backlash pointed towards these titles. You guys are the ones who are damaging the video game industry, and you love it. You love this divide because it means that you're going to get more clicks on your articles, which I think is terrible. I've always said this. If tomorrow the video game industry was magically changed, I'd be the happiest person on earth. If every game was a 10 out of 10 releasing starting tomorrow, I would be the happiest person alive, but we know it's not going to be that way, and these companies do need to be called out. And luckily, the AAAs are getting a taste of their own medicine, because the best-selling paid games on Steam right now are Arc Raiders, Baldur's Gate 3, and Expedition 33. No matter how many cancel campaigns these activists launch against these titles, they are still massively successful, and you love to see this happen. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.